Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of the Boks Office. Schalk Burger, Jean de Villiers and All Black legend Andrew Merthens are going to be joining me today. Springboks are still unbeaten in the Rugby Championship. We're going to discuss everything that happened at Ellis Park on the Boks Office, which is now open. Guys, like I just said, the Boks Office is now open. Schalk Burger, Jean de Villiers and All Black legend Andrew Merthens, 25 years since what happened at Loftus. As we kick off. It's a big anniversary for you. What did you do in Pretoria?
Well, I haven't purposefully avoided Pretoria on this trip, but I've only had time for Joburg and Cape Town, which is awesome because, almost 20 years since I've been back in the Republic, and it's just been fantastic. You forget, when it was such a big part of your life, coming here maybe twice a year, you forget how kind of special it was, and particularly with rugby soaring the way it is here, it's unbelievable. And just the people at the events and stuff like that. The game on Saturday was fantastic. I'm sure you'll get onto it. You don't need me to introduce the topic, but yeah, it's been awesome being back here.
It's also like amazing because you're based in Europe now, so South Africa is relatively close. But I mean, when we finish playing Super Rugby or Tri Nations, I don't think we'll ever get back to New Zealand.
I went last year.
We went last year.
Yeah,
that was the first time.
We had a good Friday at the
Super
Viaduct.
Sport, from a Super Sport point of view.
2016, the Viaduct got us. So too did Danny Doolan.
Danny Doolan.
Danny
Night venue, that one for serious.
I know. Like, if there's nothing to do, just go to Danny Doolan. But it's hard to get back, man.
But that's cool. Why now having these two games is awesome, isn't it?
Gives you time.
Gives more ability for tourists to go. Like, there are a lot of New Zealanders have come over for this. This series where they might not have for a one match, so that's awesome.
Scala, Jean, you guys got it right, eh? You said high scoring, less than 4 or 5 points.
Yep.
How did you get it? We need to talk about this one.
Should have played the lotto.
Yeah, exactly. Should have played the lotto. I mean, it was.
To be honest, when we went down 27 points to whatever, I wasn't sitting so comfortable with my high scoring, only just win for the Boks, but they're so bottle to get it back. But like, it just, you look at the stats the last few times we've played at Ellis Park, it's all been high scoring games, relatively close. You know what, we put like a couple of points on there in 2004, but the rest of them's all been tight.
Yeah. It's always tight between those two teams. I mean, you can never underestimate the quality of playing the All Blacks. Even if it's at home.
You're doing those predictions at all these events, and in the back of your mind at the game, you're thinking, I want to look like a smart ass. I want to get this. So, at all these events, I said 28 all.
Yeah.
I said, Colby will score 4 tries, and the All Blacks will score 4 tries from a line-out drive. 28 all. At 27-17, I'm thinking now, is it disloyal as a New Zealander to kind of think, okay, if South Africa gets a converted try and a penalty, I'm 1 point off the draw.
You got a 27 all.
I said Boks by 4.
Yeah, right.
So we were leading by 4. Sasha gets the kick in front of. I'm like, also thinking, okay, if he kicks it over, 7-point gap, we won't lose the game. We could draw it. But if he misses,
Jean, you're a genius. You know you're right.
Left, didn't he? That's right.
Yes.
How did New Zealand struggle to hold on to that? It's quite rare. I mean, 27-17 with
12
20
minutes to go, is it?
Yeah, it was. Was it 12 minutes to go? 12 minutes to go.
Look, I don't know. I think South Africa's belief and confidence at the moment, you know how they talk about teams having the habit of winning and stuff. They just know how to win. They got down New Zealand's end.
Yeah.
Boks got down the All Blacks' end maybe a little bit too easily in that last quarter for the All Blacks' liking. They couldn't seem to get themselves out of their own territory. But, up till then, I think the All Blacks were really, really happy with how they played. And overall, I think the performance for the All Blacks, for me, I was proud as a New Zealander. There's no shame losing to the world champions. I mean, I made a career out of losing to South Africa,
We'll discuss that just now.
There's no shame losing to the world champions at their toughest ground, and for the All Blacks to have played so much rugby and put so much pressure on, they found better ways to, get a little bit through that tough defensive line. They found solutions, and I think they'll be really encouraged, even though they're disappointed.
That's what you got in rugby. Like, All Blacks win that game. We're not sitting here discussing, what's team selection looking like.
Yeah.
Like the Boks have postponed it by 1 day, which means obviously there's a couple of guys carrying needles because we're quite eager to get our team out.
Was this for this week?
For this week.
It's been postponed.
It's been postponed. So you think immediately, Siya Kolisi, obviously, Kurtley, Arends, Eben was carrying an eagle last week, so. But like you said about the team selection this week, and you think do the All Blacks go 6-2? Do you match bomb squad with bomb squad? All of a sudden, small little things like that, I think, enters my mind. Like if you think of the last 12 minutes, yes, they unfortunately got a yellow card, team yellow card, and then Ofa Tonga Fasi got the yellow. But is there merit in going 6-2? Also, when you're defending a big lead, and we culprits of that plenty of times. We went up with the Stormers, or we went up with the Boks, and you're up early. To defend a lead up at altitude's hard. You know, if you start kicking earlier in the piece and you go away from what makes you strong, and I mean, I guess you can go back to the All Blacks in the 67th minute or 62nd minute, go for the 3 points, get to 30. But you got to keep on playing there, because when you do concede penalties, which they did, the game changes quickly. In Cape Town, at altitude, like not at altitude, you know, like heavy weather.
What's the altitude here at Cape Town like?
No, there's minus 5, minus 5 meters where you play on the weekend. You can concede penalties, the game doesn't transfer as quickly.
It's also was the ability for the Boks just to claw themselves back into the game. And you only saw the reward later on in like the last 10 minutes, but it's a culmination of kind of throughout the game, slowly but surely, more entering the mauls, scrums, you know, getting a bit of dominance there, and not maybe getting points at that stage, but later on, multiple penalties, yellow card, and from there it kind of snowballed, right? So it really is, I mean, the old cliche, 80 minutes of rugby, you don't get the reward early, but it works. You keep going towards
the physicality, isn't it? It just takes its toll over the course of the game. Yes, you might be getting a little bit of go forward, but you're getting thumped constantly on attack. And I think most of these teams these days are more comfortable actually playing on defence. Yeah. You know, it used to be that you
wait for the mistake, you turn over, you play.
Yeah. Defence used to be more tiring. You know, the more tackles a team made, and I'm only using the term loosely because I didn't really know what it meant.
That's what I saw lots of teammates
making tackles.
You saw your teammates getting fired.
I saw lots of tackles. I was right there, and they would get worn out. But these days, I think on attack, you actually fatigue a lot more. The more phases you have playing, and then they sat back, and I think the kicking game from South Africa was maybe a little bit more accurate than the All Blacks, particularly towards the end, and they were just content to just stick it up and get up and knock them over.
Because it was a good game, though. Because I mean, the way the game started. I mean, the way the All Blacks attacked that first
15 minutes they had the hand on the ball.
You know, 2 amazing tackles, actually 3 amazing tackles from Fassi.
That was the other one.
You know, so easily you could have scored 3 times within the first 4 minutes of the game. But the intensity right from the start, attacking-wise from the All Blacks, defensively from South Africa being sharp, but immediately being put under pressure, and then you concede a yellow card. So, like from the start, it was a high quality.
These games have got some intensity, eh? Like I mean, I was watching it on television, and if in person, it's even more crazy. You look at it and you think, like, how brutal is rugby becoming? Like you sort of wonder whether you were able to do it at that level. You know, like I
was relieved the All Blacks started well, because I was late into the stadium, and I was supposed to be doing something with Bob Skinstad, but neither of us could message one another. So I ended up getting a media pass, and I was racing to get in there, and I'd forgotten where exactly I was at Ellis Park. Suddenly I've rounded a turn to get down to the sideline, and I've run into the All Blacks all lining up to go out. two or 3 of them were sort of going like, what are you doing here? And I was like, oh no, I hope I didn't put them off. So they shrunk into the wall, sorry.
Just a rewind, back to 95, what was that build-up like? I thought you were going to mention Susie the last 20 minutes. Yeah. There's no Susie this time.
No, I've been looking, because I could probably do with a bit of a crash weight loss. No, I spent most of last week alongside Joel Stransky. That's always fun, just to reminisce with the hero of the hour, as well. No, look, it's just nice to be back here. I drove past the hotel that we'd stayed at. All the memories of being in Johannesburg, you know, the little, the ground where we'd train across from the hotel when we stayed in Sandton, and just being back here, the memories, and going back to Ellis Park, you know, like I say, it didn't have a lot of happy memories for me results-wise, but it was a big part of my history. So going back to a ground where I played my last test there, we got beaten by South Africa, typically.
04.
Marius Joubert scored 3 tries. Yeah, you must have been on the wing, maybe.
Yeah, I scored 1.
So I was well away from you. I always talk about him getting 3. Sorry, mate. Yeah, so it's been a big part of my life. So it was awesome to get back there.
And catching up with Joel, that must have been interesting.
It was good, actually. I don't think I even beat him at the golf day. I can't beat him at anything.
He's in good shape, man.
Yeah, he's in really good shape. Yeah, that's like embarrassing, to be honest.
He's found a career post-rugby. He's like a pro cyclist. You know, he's incredible.
Do you have family still in South Africa?
No. So, I mean, originally it was all, my parents are New Zealanders, came over. And that's the beauty of the rugby network, that they were over here to do a safari, have a holiday, and ended up being a New Zealander, Peter Hatchwell, in Durban, got hold of my father. I don't know, it might have been telegram in those days. It wasn't even fax machine. But said, look, come and play in Durban. So my father turned up and played at Berea Rovers, and they stayed there for 5 years. Loved it in Durban. So I always feel like I've got a strong connection here. But
And were you born in Durban?
I was born in Durban, Banana Boy.
Yeah,
I mean, there's still. I would have loved to have got to Durban this time as well. Get round a few of my parents' friends who are still there. Mum always used to lock up Dad when Peter Hatchwell came visiting. The rugby boys together. But without anyone sort of guiding me, I'd go and find him in Durban for sure.
Because you're so different. You're not like that at all.
You're very well behaved. How's life in Europe treating you? You in Paris now, am I right?
In Paris.
Twins.
Paris.
Twins.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
A month ago?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's why you're in South Africa.
A couple of little French kids. I can't wait to see what the process is like to get them French passports. But yeah, 5 weeks ago, a boy and a girl, Olivier and Vivian. I should say Vivian and Olivier, girl first. And then, so it's been, interesting. A lot of work, but fantastic.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So you've been obviously tracking the All Blacks and so on. Your thoughts on Razor's reign so far?
Well, I think it's taking him some time, as you'd expect, to I guess, get his message and his philosophy across to the group. That's natural with any change of coach. I think we've seen already significant improvement. It's hard to judge that second game against Argentina because I thought Argentina were pretty awful.
Yeah.
But the All Blacks certainly were good. But I think that the performance at Ellis Park was a big step up on that, and I think they'll continue to progress and to have their combinations and be aware of sort of the style that he's looking for. So it's taking time, but I'd really encouraged by the signs on Saturday.
The fallout with him and Liam McDonald. I know you Crusaders boys are tight. Just like the Surreys boys and Hoff Munster.
Yeah. And you and me.
What happened there? What's the?
I don't know. They'd coached before, and they hadn't fallen out, but they'd gone different
just
paths
disagreed
before.
Yeah.
And so I was a little bit surprised that they might have thought, well, if there are philosophical differences, we can overcome them this time. I think it's great that coaches like Razor and Rassi these days are welcoming different influences, different voices.
Yeah.
They want to be challenged. They don't want it to be one-way traffic. They want to have other points of view. But, obviously it wasn't working out. I thought it was probably pretty mature to just come out and say it's not working and we're done.
It's handled well.
I tried to get some oil, though. I messaged both of them just to sort of say, sorry this has happened, guys, but really care about you. Hope you're okay. What happened, sort of thing.
Exactly.
And I got one back and one didn't come back yet or anything, but nothing untoward. But I'm desperate to get a little bit of oil, but I didn't, unfortunately.
JDV, Scully, we spoke about it, the Haka and what happened pre-match. there was fireworks.
I'd love to get Merthens'
Actually, your opinion, A380 flying over. He was busy. He probably didn't see it because he was running.
Did you see that? You saw it when the Haka was on?
Yes, I think there might have been a timing thing around, because it's all meticulously planned to the minute, and it just seemed like the timing wasn't quite right somehow. Look, it feels like it's the Andrew Merthens, This Is Your Life show. I feel like I'm talking too much. And goodness knows I shouldn't be commenting on the Haka. Most of the time I was down the back there, hoping that nobody was eyeballing me,
Like I did a thing with Shimmy and John on Sunday yesterday, and I was watching it on TV, and obviously there's the mic. They're all mic'd up, so you hear the crowd in the background, the ole oles. But that's normal stuff. But apparently when you're there, the timing was a bit off, and the music and the fireworks was going whilst the Haka was going. And I was just saying there, I don't think from any of us there's been any disrespect regarding the Haka. We've never really thought we're gonna put them off or do a show.
We've also got to be careful as New Zealanders. We don't get too precious about it. It's a privilege to be able to do it. True. It's a big part of rugby tradition now, and that's great. But it's still a privilege to allow us to do it. And you welcome teams accepting that challenge however you like. You're never going to intimidate a South African team, are you?
Yeah.
It's almost like there's a case to be made for not doing the Haka against South Africa.
Yeah.
Just do it against everyone else.
I think you ask any South African, you think that's his favourite part of playing against All Blacks. It's like when you stand there and the challenge is laid down. And for us, our job is then easy. It's just don't disappoint. They're expecting us to come, so front up and come. So, this weekend's game. One thing about these All Blacks, though, they do bounce back incredibly well, And Cape Town is not a happy hunting ground for us as the Boks.
Yeah.
It's because it's like Dunedin here. Well, normally this isn't.
Well, it's fun today.
I landed yesterday morning, and there's a lot of All Black jerseys. And obviously, the guys were asking me what time are the All Blacks landing. I saw it now on social media. There was a massive crowd.
Oh, really?
To welcome the New Zealanders.
There's always been strong support for the All Blacks down in the Cape.
Yeah.
Since the old tours and everything like that.
It all started with the franchises first, the old Super Rugby. They all came up
Yeah.
with their Crusaders and their Blues and their Chiefs.
Yeah, I remember,
and
yeah,
their
actually,
the
forget about
Highlanders
that.
Jumpers, yeah.
It was
They
always a
thought of us
sellout
too.
when they
Yeah, I know.
They always thought of us on the field. We were getting fruit thrown to us on the ground down at Newlands that you could bit of nourishment. It was fantastic.
The nachos.
Yeah, the nachos.
Any Haka horror stories you've had where the guys have got it completely wrong or...
No, there's a tradition, I don't know what they do now, but there was a tradition of doing practices during the week just to make sure everyone had the timing right, you know. You look back at some of the images in the 90s, 50s and 60s, and it wasn't quite as... It suddenly ramped up in the Buck Shelford era in the 80s where, and rightly so, Buck and the senior Māori guys said, look, if we're going to do this haka, let's do it properly rather than sort of look like a bit of a, a bit of a barn dance.
Yeah, Andrew Hall was still stuck in the 50s and the 60s, even though he played in the mid-2000s. He was getting worse. I think his first one I played against him, I was like, hey, he's actually getting with it. But by the end of his career, it was either he stopped caring or he was just getting worse. His first one was his best edition.
But did you look at, obviously the eyeballing, were you looking for the 10?
No, look, I don't know, just whoever was sort of looking. And I guess you're trying to do it properly as well.
Yeah.
I'm never going to physically intimidate anyone on the field, But at the same time, you mean business. And if they get a little bit taken aback by the littlest guy doing the haka and doing it properly, then, maybe it's going to affect. But no, we were doing it, obviously, to lay a challenge. We didn't want to have a free swing at the opposition. You don't. There were practices during the week. At the end of the old All Black tradition used to be, and may still be, that players playing their debut on the Saturday, at the end of the week of practicing the haka, once a night, they would on the Friday night have to do the haka against the whole rest of the team. So if you're debuting by yourself, you've got to line up there and do the haka by yourself to the rest of the team. And my first one, I was lucky enough to have Glenn Osborne alongside me, Josh Cronfeld. But we, having to try and eyeball Sean Fitzpatrick's.
We didn't eyeball, no eyeball.
Yeah, I'm over there with you, buddy. I've got this guy.
I've always thought, and especially now because it's there was a time where it became quite theatrical in a way, the presentation of the haka. Okay, so there's actually a lot of stuff that goes into it, but it takes a lot of energy, I think. So you almost feel sometimes for the All Blacks, if there's a lot of emotion in the game, you do the rendition of the haka, you almost start the game slow because it took so much of your energy, and there needs to be a switch also from haka till kickoff to just reset yourself.
I watched this show from last week because I'm an avid Boks Office fan.
Oh, there we go. Stop.
And I know you mentioned that last week, and I remember thinking, gee, if we get onto it, I'll mention it. Absolutely. At one point, the All Blacks decided, okay, we actually have to come up with something to reset after the haka, because you get in and you're passionate and everything, and you can actually get the blood and everything up a little too high.
Yeah.
And if you're wanting to be making good lucid decisions early in the game, whether it's clean outs, whatever that means, I've heard the term before, making good decisions at clean outs or whatever, you've got to have that lucidity. And I think they found that, it was just hyping them up too much. So I think you'll see they do the haka and then they go and reset, like the other team does as well. Okay, the challenge is there. Let's reset. This is our moment. Now we're into the game.
Like even when we faced the haka together with
tracksuits,
we just put a tracksuit bottom on. And then afterwards, you take it off, but that's your chance to say, listen, okay.
Yeah. It's your routine. That's your routine. You're in control, and that's why I love seeing like England in that 2019 semi-final. They did they took that moment to do something that they were in control of.
Yeah.
Yes, the All Blacks are doing the haka. We've sort of got to accept the challenge here, but we'll take this moment to do what's good for us as a team and that sort of thing. So it's a little, psychological little moment for both teams.
It's a great part of the game. I like it.
You never played in that game. I think Tim Horan mentioned it. They went to warm up. He said he faced the haka 26 times or whatever. The one time they decided not to face it and went to warm up, they lost 46-3.
Yes.
He said that's the last.
Did you think I was too young for that? Thank you. Yeah. I played in that. That was in Wellington, where it was and they went off, and quite often David Campese would just go on his own, go and warm up by himself while the rest of the team was facing the haka. But on this occasion, they all went and did it, and so we did it basically to an empty, pretty sodden field. But of course, you got the Wellington crowd behind you and everything like that. And we did have a big win that day, but it wasn't necessarily. Nobody stood there and said, "Hey, look, they've disrespected the haka. Let's really fire up in this game." It was just one of those things. But they always, John Eales went to New Zealand, did a bit of a tour as a bit of a mea culpa from that to say, hey, look, I want to sort of, have some closure here.
My first test against All Blacks was 2003 World Cup, and we got there, and then, our coach at the time, we had an interesting build-up, but like I said, listen, we must sing Nkosi Sikelele, and they did the kamate. And when they were done, we were like midway through Nkosi Sikelele, we didn't even get to the English, but then we were like looking at each other, well, should we just carry on and stand here? What now? And I was on the bench. I basically just ducked down and sat down and watched the first 60. Anyway, we lost by 5.
You mentioned it now, Mert, Wellington. How's that become like a stadium where you just can't win anymore? I think it's
not a good record against the Boks, is there? Either?
No.
Well, lost to Argentina also.
Argentina there as well. I think the last 5 games in Wellington, the All Blacks have lost. Whereas Eden Park is like a fortress.
Yeah, there's no reason for that either.
No reason,
I don't know. I mean, any New Zealander really who's born outside of Auckland is kind of grows up being taught to dislike Auckland. The big guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, no matter where the players have come from, the All Blacks have got this great record at Eden Park since 1994. And I don't know. I mean, I didn't feel any special affinity because I'm from the South Island, affinity with Eden Park, but we just happened to have good performances. And maybe part of it was the fact that in those days, that awesome Auckland team of that era, the late 80s and early 90s, maybe just with a lot of Auckland players in there, they felt comfortable at home, and then it generated its own sort of momentum.
I mean,
it's weird how it happens.
Games on the top, but like I go to the Cape Town, and the weather is always horrendous.
The crowd's quite far away, isn't it?
The wind's coming in sideways. You can't have decent prep there because in the afternoon when you're trying to get out on the training pitch, I mean the weather's already pulled in. Like I think that's one of the harder places to play, but like clearly not. It was hard for us, but not for the next generation that's come through.
Building a new stadium in Christchurch, so hopefully soon we'll get some Bok tests back in Christchurch. I think the stadium's called Te Kaha. So it's coming out of the ruins really of the 2011 earthquake. So it'd be nice to see a real proper sort of modern international stadium there again.
Yeah. I played my first game against the All Blacks, obviously your second one.
Yeah.
In 04 at, what was it called then? Jade Stadium? Was it Jade Stadium then? Yeah.
So we lost right at the end.
Right at the
end. Dougie Howlett.
Dougie Howlett around in the corner, right-hand side corner.
You would have been
the whole game.
I was back in the squad, but I was a token addition to the squad that year. I'd been dropped for the World Cup the year before. Then new coaches came in. I was out of the running, but then suddenly had a couple of good games off the bench for the Crusaders. And then off the bench in the All Blacks trial, and it looked like I'd had an effect on the team, which I hadn't. Just choose those moments to go on. Finish eating your hot dog sideline. Oh, you're on, okay. And then the team started going. It wasn't because of me, but suddenly there was like public pressure, the sort of nostalgic, put him back in the team. And I got put back in the team. It was awful. Contributed to a couple of losses. I think we played England, and we may not have lost to them despite my attempts, but we lost to you guys. So
it's the last time England won in New Zealand.
No, that was 03.
That was 03,
04?
No, 03. 03
England won the World Cup. That's the last time England won.
Sorry,
that was before. It was prior to the World Cup.
No, you won that game, it's.
The 04 game?
Yeah, you won it.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't have been playing then.
On the bench.
Tell me, and then what's your take on Sasha, the Famberg Mgomezulu?
Well, it's still pretty early,
What
but I
did you
mean, he
see
looked
from him,
composed, didn't he? And even, towards the end where he was just getting the ball thrown back and sticking it high and stuff like that, it was just, I think, a confidence builder, more time in the saddle, and he's obviously got a heck of a lot of talent. And yeah, you need that competition coming through behind, because I mean, Andre Pollard's obviously been the standard setter for so long and continues to be. I mean, you wouldn't put it past him. What is he, only 31 or something, isn't he? So he'll make that next World Cup. So, yeah, but I think it's really good. I think you've got sort of depth in a lot of positions, even Fussy at fullback.
Fussy was good. Let's talk about Fussy.
Villy LaRue's still there, obviously, and fantastic.
Damien Willemse,
who's
still to come back.
And I guess it's always a nice position to be in where you have the youngster, but you've got Andre Pollard on the bench. Yeah. You've got Apelele Fussy starting, but you've got Villy LaRue in the squad. So when they are training and running and looking at the backfield and looking at decisions they make, you've got your senior statesman there, and you're learning from him firsthand. It's not like he's out or he's injured, and all of a sudden you get ripped up 2 spots because you weren't really in the mix. So I think we're sort of getting this transition. It's a natural transition at the moment. It's not forced through injury. What do you make of DMAC at 10?
Well, I mean, he's got a lot to offer anywhere on the field. I've always liked him as first receiver when he's playing fullback. When he comes in and, maybe he's first receiver 20% of the time, he
Very
makes
like
it count
Billy
every
LaRue.
time.
Yeah. Very similar to
exactly.
Billy LaRue.
Breaks it up, really makes the defence sort of think, okay, what's going on here? So he's a bit less. He's a bit more predictable, naturally, when he's getting the ball more regularly. But he's got all the skills, he's got all the ability, and I think probably just him finding a balance for himself within his natural game, which is to just attack from everywhere, but just also just priding himself on the boring things as well. I mean, he's got a good kicking game, he's a good passer, he's brave. So yeah, absolutely. I think I think long term he is a really good 10. Bowden Barrett as well. Obviously, he's like. There's almost a case to be said that his best role is coming off the bench and adding, lifting it like he did. I think was it the England test?
The second test.
Unbelievable. And working alongside DMAC,
Excuse me. What are the other options at 10 though? If let's say you had to take DMAC.
Well, Richie Mong is up in Japan. And
He's coming back.
Ultimately, New Zealand will take the step somewhere. And the interim step might be to say, well, okay, if you're not playing in Europe, but you're playing sort of in our time zone and you can have visibility, then we'll pick you. But eventually, and I think in conjunction with World Rugby developing a global season eventually, I think New Zealand will naturally come to the party in terms of being able to select from offshore. But at the moment, Richie Mong is unavailable. Shannon Frizzell as well, who I think would be a good option to have against the Boks. Aaron Smith's up there. I think he probably has finished now, but in saying that, he's been such a fantastic player over the years.
See, Roy Gordon would have been in the mix now. He's a good player, but it's obviously got the injury.
Because I see Finlay Christie was playing this weekend as well. He's obviously dropped down the pecking order. The thing I wanted to say about Bowden Barrett, you think back 2015 World Cup and Barrett coming off the bench most of the time and the effect that he had then. And even still now,
He had some crazy stat. I think in his first 50 test matches, he only started a handful of them.
Yeah.
It was
but he's probably still the highest point scorer of anyone on the team.
I know.
He is, and he's like
it was incredible.
I think 3 or 4 tries away from Dougie Howlett's record as top try scorer.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And that's the early days of really using 23 players, isn't it? And it is a 23-player game now, well and truly. And some of us still are stuck in the old days of your best 15 start. But I think most coaches these days list who are we going to finish the game with and then work backwards from there, okay? When do they go on? Like Eben, it was probably fairly obvious he was going to come on from potentially 30 minutes into the game. He had to come on through injury, but then he stayed on, so I think that was the plan, wasn't it? Give him 10, 12 minutes of death before half-time, 15-minute break, and then 40 of hell.
Also, I think there was an injury cloud on him, so by bringing him on early, I think, you mitigate that risk.
Yeah.
You bring on, but you still got 2 loosies on the bench. So if he does go down, then one of the other loosies can fly on.
Shows how important the Eben is to that team. Man.
Yeah.
There's a massive difference when he's on.
I always feel that if there's an injury risk like that, I'd rather start with a guy
Yeah, I know.
that's injured.
Then it's done.
If he goes
Fullback if he comes on.
If he goes 20, he goes 20. If he goes 30, if he goes 60, he goes 60. But then you have a fullback. Whereas if he needs to come on and then he lost.
It worked out right on the weekend. But it's Kwagga Smith. Is he the ultimate super sub?
I was just going to say, he's the guy that allows you to contemplate a 7-1 split or 6-2 because he can play loose, he can play tight, he obviously makes those big contributions like we saw on the weekend and so you can build the bench around him and sacrifice yourself another back. And then also obviously the versatility of Peter Steff. It's just the mix and match.
We've been contemplating South Africa going back to the 5-3 split, but in favour of the backs. 5 backline players.
But look at you guys.
We've been calling for it for a while though.
Look at you backs in South Africa though. It's the same. You could be 8 forwards or 8 backs and you wouldn't tell the difference.
Who's going to cover a lock? I said Andre Esterhuizen. Just pick the player to cover around the corner.
Visa was good. Jasper Visa for a guy that was out 6 weeks, Gale.
Yeah, especially for a guy who's been out for 6 games.
No, 6 games, sorry.
So it was longer than 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And also, if you're based in the UK, you come back, the first game's at altitude, you can easily blow your wheels off.
But then in the warm-up.
The warm-up. I know. Playing touch on the Friday, you might be thinking, I'm not up for this.
Then in saying that as well, you think about the New Zealand team, and obviously after that Uruguay, Argentina game, some question marks, but I mean, Give me one name that played badly for the All Blacks on the
I
weekend.
really enjoyed Ethan Blackhead.
He was really good.
Talk about
I mean, like if
Right.
there's a, if
All
there
those
was
guys.
Taylor was good.
Cody
Yeah,
Taylor.
as an
Cody
older
Taylor was
guy.
very good.
D-Mac at 10, I mean, I thought he had a very solid game.
Geordie Barrett.
Geordie with the decision-making. Rico, who had to go to the wing eventually. Caleb Clark scoring 2 tries.
Yeah.
Will Jordan probably could have had a bigger influence.
Didn't go his way,
see
did it?
too much of
That's the
him.
problem on the wing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's why they have put Rico into centre, I guess, way back.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see him get a couple of touches on the ball early.
Yeah.
You know better than I do what it's like at centre. If you're not in the centres, if you're not getting
wanna get in
early
the game.
opportunities, and you start getting frustrated, trying to look for opportunities. And yeah, he got a couple of early touches, which is nice. I'd still love to see him get the ball. I don't know if it's possible with the defences these days, but get the ball early with space
Yeah.
to use his pace because he's lightning. But anyway, I thought they looked good, and D-Mac controlled the tempo for the backs.
Yeah.
Yeah. From the box, I mean, where did it go wrong for the box the first 60 minutes? Was it set piece? Scala, there's got to be a reason. If they're reviewing today, or which areas would they be looking at?
I guess we got to go at our start. You look at our we've made a lot of errors right in the start, and that handling errors post that sort of followed us. Little silly offloads, turnover deep in our own half. If you think at Caleb Clark's first try, but the game started kick off. Cheslin gets trapped on the wrong side. Immediately they come into our just outside our 22, put us under pressure. 20 plus phases. We get the yellow card from Fussy. After that, they score a try. Sasha knocks it out directly into touch. They get a half-line scrum, and Perenara does a 50-22, and they're back there again, So 15 minutes pass, and we didn't really fire a shot. And we mentioned it last week, the way we like to play against the All Blacks is when we have a good start, they're giving us targets deep in their own territory to hit. I think, the marked difference between the first Argentina test match and where the All Blacks are now is the amount they kick and how early they kick in the set.
Yeah.
And this weekend they must have been close to 30 kicks, I think, the All Blacks. And that's a big change. And to be honest, it put us under a lot of pressure for a large part of that game. And if they do the same, if they get a head start and ask us, you saw our line-out misfiring, but the Boks had 24 line-outs. When last did the Boks have 24
That's a
line-outs?
lot.
We're used to playing against teams. And Ruan Urquez in his third test match, maybe that had something to fourth test match.
Yeah.
Fourth or fifth.
Maybe that had something to do with it. But we lost critical lineouts, throughout the game. So they asked the right questions.
The scrum was always going to be a battle. New Zealand got after us probably the best scrum.
Yeah.
And we obviously used 2 front rows, whatever. But I mean, Tyro Lomax, Williams did well, I thought. Cody Taylor, and even the guys that came on. Fletcher Newell.
I mean, this is your department.
Yeah,
All I know
I-
is it
I-
looked
yeah,
like
You guys are about to fall asleep.
it looked like a bloody good fight. I had no
The
idea.
scrum battle was good. Did you enjoy it, Mertz?
We'll talk amongst ourselves.
I think our saving grace was Bongi Manambi's try. When I think Fassi was still off.
Sorry,
there.
guys, can we just get it?
Yes, it was.
Let's kind of talk. Yeah.
That is not a try.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen some
but the
meme
stats.
going around that saying like it's been stripped, and it's like, guys, hold on.
No, but that's what I'm
You've
saying.
got to have
It's on the
control over the
scoreboard,
ball
though.
to score a try. It's not a try.
Yeah, so it's on the scoreboard though. So I'm just saying it
Why
was.
don't
it
we
was
have a look at
given.
that?
I don't know.
My thing is we can debate
can I
it,
make my
but
point?
surely you got
Can I
go to
make
the
my
man
point?
upstairs. Okay,
Can I make
I'll
my
let you
point?
speak. I'll let you speak. You're looking
So-
very corporate.
Yes.
What's that mean?
You missed the dress code for this.
Yes, I
He's
did.
hosting a function
Look
for
at
this
that.
guy. Yeah, he's
Upper
harvesting.
body, the upper body program, yours is work.
I'm sweating, man. These lights are making me sweat a little bit.
He was, look at the
Just gotta
size of
do
you,
that. The scoring if you think about the start of the game, so we're under pressure, under the cook until
Under the cook.
under the under the pump.
Under the cook. Slow down, take a deep breath.
Under the pump.
Slow down and take a deep
Under the
breath.
pump, 5 minutes.
I really want to make a T-shirt under the cook.
Under the cook.
Then you get a yellow card. Then then they score their try from that. We never got into the opposition half in the first 50 minutes of the game. Still 14 men on the field, we score a try. First time back into the game. So I think that's the ability to get points on the board then, I think was our saving grace. But the error rate was just way too high
From us.
from
Yeah.
us in that first half. That's why
Individual area, collective area.
we just never could.
I was a bit surprised at the defence wasn't probably quite as cohesive or robust as I expected. And that might be just the changes in players, the changes in roles
Yeah.
or whatever. But the All Blacks, and they were better at trying to punch holes against that defence than they were against Argentina, for example. And they used stepping, like Cody Taylor was a good example. Rather than just going thumping into the body, a bit of a step, get on a weak side and get a little bit past the contact zone. But I did feel that South Africa wasn't quite as tight in that defence as I expected. And the All Blacks got a bit more go forward, a bit more easily than they might have anticipated.
Their set piece try, the second one for Caleb Clark, that is unreal. The ball straight over the back. And like our lineup wasn't perfect. We did a show yesterday where Sia Kulisi misses the jump, but actually Sasha Feinberg and Ngazulu picks it up, goes up. How bloody Geordie Barrett gets that thing away, that little over the 15 swivel.
It helps that he's 196.
Yeah.
As a midfielder.
But with no lifters, He doesn't have it as easy as the forward.
He's a big guy as Caleb Clark.
You know your big guys.
He's a unit.
You know your big
He's
guys.
a unit.
Yeah.
TJ Perenara's pick up off that, I mean, that was fantastic.
Amazing.
And then that was the one time they managed to, because we didn't, talking before the game, and I was at a couple of functions, like I say, just reminiscing about 95.
Cashing in.
Yuppie Mulder, Johan Roux. No, just bringing myself back down to earth. If I started feeling good about myself, I'd start talking about 95.
Mertz actually
Thank you for the Rainbow Nation.
Johan Roux reminded him of you. That's what he said.
Just explain that, just elaborate on that. And I hope he watches this.
Look, we can't all lose weight like Joel and be on bike tours and stuff like that all the time. But what were we talking about? Well, we didn't expect, none of us expected the All Blacks really to get round the outside of the box like they did, just because, the best and most stable midfield in the world, Delende and Creel. Then you've got those fantastic wingers with all the pace, and it's been hard to get round the outside of the box. So the All Blacks did that really well. So they'll be taking a lot of positives out.
So like the reshuffle then happened. So there was Sasha was defending 10, Andre's 12, Damien was 13, Jesse was on 14, obviously, and then you had Fassi.
All Blacks' inability to score in the final quarter. At one stage, is that a bench issue, or
in the three rugby championship games?
Themselves off their feet, Scala, in the beginning.
I would say this weekend their biggest culprit was probably going into game management too early. But then you go into game management, but your discipline doesn't go the same way. So in their last 15 minutes, they conceded, I would say, 7 or 8 penalties. And then you're trying to kick it early in the phase, so kick the ball to us, and then we were desperate to chase the game down. Obviously, Ofata Tungafasi's yellow card was a disaster, because then our pack of forwards fronted up and said, listen here, we're tucking it under the jumper, and like our attack in the 22 was exceptional.
Ofata Tungafasi.
Tungafasi.
Okay, no, I'm just double checking. I thought maybe you said.
To be honest, it's like, I think if you only go Tungafasi, but like to get the offer before it, it's quite a tongue twister for me, boys.
And I'm sure offer is short for something, so there's probably a couple more apostrophes in there as well.
What changes do you expect to see from the box?
Oh, I've got no idea.
I've got a different. Every time we've been quite conservative. I reckon there'll be lots of changes this week. Because remember, think about it. Every time we think, okay, they'll play the same team, the next thing there's 10 changes. I think we might see the same.
South African team.
Yeah,
but we've
I just
seen
get a
that.
feeling like
We've seen that now.
Yeah. So you reckon, okay, what changes do you expect to see then?
No, I've got no
Villiers
idea. You tell me what Russ is thinking.
We don't have the greatest record in the second digs. We don't go too well against teams the second time around. We take Humbombela 2 years ago. That time we made a lot of.
We're very hospitable on the Boks Office.
A lot of changes in the second test match, still came up short. So, I don't know. I think the reason that the selections be postponed by a bit is there's a few players carrying some niggles, because we've got that philosophy. You train on the Monday, then you're up for selection. You don't train on Monday, you're not up for selection.
I think it'll be the same front row, then Ruan Orkia and Eben Etzebeth to start.
Yeah.
Marco van Staden.
Okay.
Peter Stef de Toy.
Yeah.
Jasper Wiese.
Okay.
And then the back line.
Grant Williams, Pollard.
No, I think Grant stays on the bench.
Damien, Lucanyo Villiers at the back, Mapimpi
and Colby.
And I think Kitsoff might be in the mix also.
On the bench?
Yeah.
I was impressed by Seneca.
Every time we think about it, naturally you would say, just keep the same team, let them recover. You start with Eben because he was injured, whatever. But I think
even Ulrich Lau did well.
It
worked on the weekend, but you go bomb squad if you've got all your locks out, plus Sia Kulisi potentially out for the weekend. Is there enough forwards to have impact on the bench? Because there's no use in picking someone on the bench that's not going to come on and make a big difference, big impact. Do you go more traditional 5-3?
I mean, there might be, Salman might be available,
Yeah.
right?
So the other starter goes on the bench as part of a bomb squad.
Yeah.
Because if Evan was carrying a niggle this week, then you can use him as thing and then
I don't know.
You'd have to imagine Russie's planned the
Yeah.
two teams, though, a long way out. So whatever he chooses for this weekend was probably, the genesis was weeks and weeks ago.
Yeah.
It may bear no relation to what happened the week other than Sia Kolisi or Kurt Lee being unavailable. Apart from that, he probably had an idea of how he wanted to play here. It may have been dictated by how weather was a couple of weeks ago. I don't know what I've never been to the stadium. What's the track like? Because Newlands obviously used to get pretty heavy.
Similar to this stadium. It's a nice track. They relayed it. They relayed it, but like it's going to be slippery and it's on the coastline. Similar location to like what the Cape Town's got there. So it's right next to the harbour pretty much. Where do you think the All Blacks will go? Do you think there's a chance of a 6-2 bomb squad or no? It's not part of you.
I don't know. It depends on what players we have available. And we don't have necessarily a Crocker Smith. Well, maybe you'd say Artie Sarvier could be that role. You know, we can get in and
Start.
Wallace Satiti started it.
Yeah, it would be nice.
Severe open side flanker, Ethan
think
Blackadder. Then you look at maybe Derry and then Tupuvai coming off the bench. Adds a bit of impact because he's mobile, can cover lock
So
and flank.
who covers lock with Barrett then?
Derry.
Oh, Derry.
Or the
Very
other
good
Barrett.
line-out option.
Yeah.
The 12 Barrett. He won the line-out and scored a try.
So that front row stays the same, but it gives a bit more balance. Look, Satiti he's a natural 8, whereas Severe is covering 8. That's the only thing I'd look at to get the balance of the loose
Sam
points.
Kane's output was decent as well on the weekend.
Yeah.
You know, like I know he's covering for Dalton Popoli, who's done a thumb or something, but
Did he get away with the lucky one there? The hit on Sia.
well, look, I mean, unfortunately, we didn't get
saw the
rebirth.
match, you look confused.
The TMO was
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I was.
the TMO was nowhere, so we didn't really see anything on television. You know, like we didn't see a replay really of.
I've seen replays of it. Obviously, a lot of South Africans saying it was a red card. It should have been looked at.
Is it shoulder to the...
Yeah, I've seen it. Look, you need all the angles. Obviously, generally on social media, you see the one angle, but it is. I mean, the cheekbone's gone.
Yeah.
I didn't see it at the time. I mean, I got the cheap seat at the end of the media. I was sitting beside Justin Marshall.
Yeah.
And so I was more listening to him than watching the game, to be fair. You know?
How was Marsha as a 25-year-old on tour?
Awesome. Depending on your perspective, he was a menace. He was a menace. No, he was a really good tourist. And
He still is.
yeah, and we had a good little group of young guys youngish guys who stuck together, played a lot of golf together, and we loved South Africa. Loved every part of South Africa. Coming here on Super Rugby and playing at Bloemfontein, one of our favourite places.
Yeah.
Properly awesome, easy access to golf courses, beautiful weather all the time. So yeah, Marshy was a really good tourist. Tane Randall was another one, renowned as a good tourist.
Yeah.
Knew the good food spots and stuff like that. It was probably, I used to be kind of not lock myself away during the week, but I used to kind of just get tired. Maybe it's because that fly half, you know, you're thinking a lot and stressing a lot about the game and the shape, and I used to just try and stay away from it a lot. But then towards my later years, I thought, geez, what an opportunity to come to places like this every year. And
experience.
I had to tag along behind the likes of Marshy and Tane Randall.
So was it Marsha and Tane Randall were leading?
Yeah, and it was little things we enjoyed. I mean, it wasn't always just going out having late nights. In fact, we hardly ever did that. But it was the little things over here, like Five Roses Tea. I got excited when I got to the hotel in Johannesburg. I saw Five Roses Tea, all gold. You know, I'm not trying to get any sponsorship. JC LaRue, you know, the So we had
cream soda.
little things. Like we just, it was awesome. Yeah, Marshy loves touring, and he's a good tourist, as you know, Shimmy. You guys, I mean, right from 2019 in Japan, you guys were a menace.
He was, he was. I was like Tane Randall following him around. It was good. Rugby Championship, South Africa 14 points, New Zealand 6.
Yes.
Hard to lose it from there.
We've got you just where we want you.
Argentina. So Argentina beat the All Blacks. They lose by 40-something points. Australia go there and beat Argentina. What's going on?
We didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, also like the conditions looked terrible. It was a horrible little late night start and raining. I mean, like we know, you know, like that can go either way. You know, like for me, like Argentina doesn't have enough tools to really put the side under pressure. Like if that was the Boks and we played them in Perth in similar conditions, we know like our scrum, we had uncontested scrums, but our maul, like we can overpower them. Like Argentina, unfortunately, doesn't have that anymore. So they had to play rugby in those conditions, and then it's a flip of the coin.
Having a holistic view on it, I think great that Australia got the win.
Yeah, it's good for Australia. Yeah.
They need to start building.
It was bloody tight at there. Did you watch that last little bit?
I didn't see
What happened in 78th minute?
Yeah,
With the kick.
they got a penalty for hands in the rack. Argentina actually made the turnover. Was deemed illegal, but they were picking going.
Donaldson kicked the penalty. Right?
Yeah, and
Was there still time on the clock though?
Yeah. Well, when he kicked it.
Yeah, after he kicked it, yeah.
I don't know.
Or did they blow it out? I saw to that point and then turned it off. I thought, okay,
I know, but
game over.
I mean, they were going to go for the drop goal a phase later, so it was getting to that desperate phase. But, you know, it was a scrappy game to watch, but like amazing for obviously for Schmidt and his team.
Well, they need it, don't they? I mean, they need to drum up support for the Lions tour next year.
And World Cup.
They've got to show themselves competitive.
And also you need when you want to build something, like you need a good run of results so you can stick with the same players. Because if you're just getting pulverized and losing and you're sticking with the same group, you get to a point where, like, you know, 8 months has gone by and you haven't developed any momentum players. You know, belief is the most important thing at international sport. If there's no belief, there's no chance you're getting a result.
Can Australia win this next one?
In Australia?
I think so. It's in Australia.
Is it in Australia?
I have no idea. Can they win it? Doesn't matter.
No,
One away.
It must be in Argentina.
Both in Argentina.
They welcomed you for 2 tests. So
Yeah,
and then
then 1-1 New Zealand.
No, they won't. So it depends where they probably go back to Buenos Aires. That's normally what they do.
No, Argentina wins the next one.
It's hard to know with Argentina. They're like the French team from maybe 15, 20
Who pitches
years
up?
ago, aren't they?
Yeah.
Just could beat you on any given day, but often, you know, put some.
That's exactly what we said last week. It's like what Argentina's side pitches up. You know, it depends. You know, they beat the All Blacks. You know, they can beat anyone on their day.
What's your take on the TMO thing? Has been quite a sort of quite the talking point the day after the test or 2 days after. Obviously, there's the Sia missed the Bongi try. Apparently, double banking when New Zealand scored the Bongi try. There's a whole lot of things there. What's the best way? If you were in charge of the refereeing, do you come out and say, listen, guys, we made some key mistakes, or do you just leave it?
No,
you got to know. Surely.
No, they leave it. They don't accept mistakes.
You got to come out and explain it, because we need to find the reasoning why it wasn't looked at.
Yeah.
Give us a concrete answer saying this is what happened and this is why we couldn't review it or whatever. But just to stay quiet, and then, you know, what inevitably happens is it builds up. And the fans, rugby fans across the world, if your team loses and there's a decision that went against you, you get angry, you know, and it just builds up until a stage where it explodes, and that won't be a good explode for World Rugby.
There's not the transparency, and
You
there
want
doesn't
that.
seem to be the accountability that people kind of expect. And, you know, you accept that people make mistakes. You should make fewer of them if you're just sitting in there looking at a screen and you've got multiple replays to see it.
Yeah.
But here we go. I'll jump on my little soapbox again and say, I've been saying it for years, TMO shouldn't be a referee necessarily, because I think they get too bogged down in their process and their protocols and all the language, the terminology they have to use and whatever. And I think a lot of the time they're just missing what the hell happened.
Yeah.
Look at it. We're still making far too many mistakes. TMOs in general.
Yeah.
And I don't think, you know, that try there, who's to say the Boks wouldn't have surged back into the 22 and scored again in the next 2 minutes. So I don't for a minute think it cost the All Blacks the game or anything like that. Not at all. I just think in general, the TMOs were making too many mistakes compared to what should be being made, which is next to none, when you're sitting there in comfort with a screen.
And I think more so, sorry Scala, the more so, you want the right decisions to be made so that you don't make wrong decisions that potentially influences the result. Because it's once you make a wrong decision and it influences the result where people get crazy.
I mean, for me, it's the consistency thereof. Like, I mean, like especially the tackle area. Like if certain replays get showed and it's a yellow card, then that's the standard. If we're allowed to tackle a little bit higher, that's fine by me. We just want it to be the same every single weekend. And also, like when you're at TMO, what is your trigger? What are you looking at? You know, if double banking is the thing, that's your directive. supporter, Tyrrell Lomax, can't get in behind. You know, for me, it's simple. That is your first trigger. And then same, if you lost control over a try, how can you not get to the referee? And then the knock-on effect of that, we've got a new shot clock now. The shot clock is from when you scored the try. Then there was a bit of conversation between Geordie Barrett, who felt he dislodged the ball. Bongi Manambi, there's a bit of to and fro. The TMO is coming in.
Walked out into the field.
They say it's not a try.
And then the next moment, Sasha gets blown for not kicking it within the 30 seconds. So
and he's got a case to say, hey, those All Blacks charged early because they were walking out to talk to
I think he did say that.
That's what he said. And then there's a shot clock on scrums. When does the scrum start?
That will never work.
You know when we're going to figure this one out is when you've got a scrum 5 meters.
The first
5 meters to win a test match. You're dominant in the scrums, and they're going to go, Boks, you've busted through the shot clock, scrum clock. What do you call this thing?
Scrum clock. That's not going to happen. The scrum clock. There's a guy with an injury.
Should they take the scrum out of the game?
No,
What the fat guy's going to do?
Look what
What happens to the fat guys?
Look what happened to the All Blacks when they had one scrum in 63 minutes against Argentina. No, the scrum's back.
It was you, I think. Was it you, the one test against Argentina? You went to the ref and you told him it's too late on a Monday.
Yeah. So you want that if there's foul play or whatever in the game, as the opposing team, I want the benefit of that call in the game. Yes. I don't want it to happen on Monday.
No consolation.
Yeah, and then okay, then Schalk gets banned. So now they're playing the All Blacks next week. So All Blacks get the benefit of his discretion. You don't want that. You want it in that game. So I agree with Mertz in that, you know, when you've got all this technology, just make the right. Look what's happening, and if it doesn't look right, you know, then they need to speak about it and make the call.
That's right where I think referees, okay, they know the rules, but I don't think they're experts at what's actually happening in the action, which is why I think getting a panel of, you know, whether it's former coaches or players or whatever, ideally independents, but getting actual rugby action experts, because the referees have proved themselves incapable of being consistently accurate. I mean, we could sit around here and do it, you know, on a screen, you know, and get a committee. I reckon we'd be pretty well agreed. Admittedly, if we're having a few beers, the second half decisions might be less accurate than the first.
We get even better.
Don't come to the TMO after about 55 minutes, you know, but up to then, we're good.
At least the TV viewers can understand what we're saying. Because so often when they start talking to each other, they're speaking in code. And like we get lost. We're like, is it out or not? Like, I don't care if it's it's out or it's not out.
Yeah, because the ball was kicked.
We've got to remember they're a team. So you've got the two A's, the TMO, and then you obviously got your referee. But the referee can't see everything. So like they've got to be like, surely these referees should be working together, forming a team. You can't just chuck random guys together and then think, you know, it's going to run seamlessly on the weekend. But
it's frustrating. It's frustrating for us who's involved in the game, even more so for those that don't understand the game that well. It's just confusing.
And most frustrating for the player. You know, just you think you're a player, you've made a good tackle. Andre Estes against Portugal, he gets 3 weeks. You know, like I mean,
you forget where is he? Is he back in the mix?
He's back in the group.
He's back in the group now. But
he's starting this week.
You know, your player. Now all of a sudden you've got a black mark on your record for making a decent tackle against Portugal. So these things have got massive ramifications, not only for coaches, but first and all for players and their reputations.
Okay, guys, let's lighten it up a bit. Let's look at Boks Office Rewind.
Okay, Shami, let's look at it then.
Let's see. Let's have a look here. What do you have?
Bloody hard to see what's happening. Is that better?
No, I've seen this.
I've seen this one.
It's Glenwood.
Is it?
Or Northwood. Who's it? Northwood.
Okay.
Very cool, eh?
That's super cool. You need some energy for that. I don't know if they make that our national haka, I don't think I'll be able to participate, boys. I'll have to take some time off.
Your schools system and the fact that rugby's absolutely soaring. The amount of talent that you guys have got coming through. You know, in New Zealand, obviously, we defer to the Haka. All the schools have got their Haka, and I'm sure you've seen images of that over the past, and it's fantastic. But to see the numbers that you've got in South Africa coming through at a young age is absolutely extraordinary. It's awesome.
And I mean, run the risk here, but it's only rugby you can do that. Like rugby in this country, like Boks are going well. Everyone fronts up. Like this week in Cape Town, like every single schoolboy is already, where's the Boks training? I don't even know where they're training. Do you know where they're training, Shim? Everyone wants to.
I could tell you, but you know.
Everyone wants to have a little look where they train. Mertz is here. Yeah, get me on the WhatsApp later.
You think I could look at something and work out what's going on and be able to take that back to the All Blacks? No idea.
And this weekend, I mean, it's going to be unreal in Cape Town. We don't get the All Blacks out here often, boys.
Mertz, what have you got on the menu for the rest of the week? Golf, okay, where?
On the menu, appropriately. I think again there'll be plenty of eating. Yep, little bit of golf. Actually got a little wine tasting to go to now. Sample the best of South African. Imagine there'll be a range of pinotage there.
Yeah. Where's the wine tasting from?
I'm not sure where it is, so I should know that.
Would it be close to where you're staying?
I'm just following where I get taken. Yes, presumably somewhere around Stellenbosch, maybe. I don't know. Don't know, but I'm the worst thing is, straight after a wine tasting this evening, trying to play paddle tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. with Brian the Banner and Marshy.
You should be done before then.
Okay. Yes. I don't think I'll go straight there.
Please don't, I mean, just let us know how Brian goes. Because he gets mentioned a lot on this show.
I'm not sure which one is going. I reckon he's cloned himself. He seems to be at everything. He seems to be at a game at Ellis Park at the same time he's doing a function in Dubai or he's doing some sort of dinner in Paris or something. He's everywhere. Hats off to him.
Yeah.
But I think the double World Cup, and it's almost the number, obviously Ireland coming here, New Zealand. So it's almost like a dream period for South African rugby. Double World Cup champs. Yeah. You got the All Blacks twice at home. We had Ireland here twice at home.
And don't forget, we doubled up because we went straight into COVID, playing behind closed doors straight after 2019. So even though we won the World Cup, we didn't actually get to experience us as world champs playing. We played the British and Irish Lions. We were there. I mean, we got told to keep quiet the second test match because our video feed from screaming going like Lekker Tackle Kitsy was going into the national bloody feed. There was only 10 of us there.
I've just realised now, the last time we beat the All Blacks in Cape Town was in 2005.
1907. What is it called?
I don't know. I know John scored a try. He scored an intercept.
What's your streak at the moment? Because what was before that Twickenham thumping last year before the World Cup? So there's three in a row. The Boks are on 3 in a row at least, but did the All Blacks win before then?
Yeah, it was Mount Smart.
Yeah, Mount Smart.
Because without sounding like a dick, like that's a streak that you're establishing that had been probably quite some time since you did that.
And something to note as well, there's actually lots on the line for the Boks for this game because we have not won the Freedom Cup since 2009.
That's right, yeah.
You know, so massive streak, and it's difficult to retain it because you need to win 2 games.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's 1-1, which has been the case for the last couple of years, the same team just retains it. So to take it off of them, we get the opportunity now, and I think it's a big one for this group.
What you looking forward to this week the most outside of the game?
Just spending time with you, Shimmy. It's always so much fun spending time with you. I'm looking forward to the golf on Thursday. The Players Fund, Chris Berger, Peter Jackson, Players Fund. Golf day. Yeah. Racing funds for rugby.
I've got 2 rounds of golf. I'm at that one as well on Thursday. I've got dinner with Mertz at Mano's Wednesday with you two. Yeah. That's my highlight. I'm going to
golf tomorrow.
And the long lunch on Friday.
Guess who's team captain?
And then, to be honest, I hope I've got a voice left for Saturday, boys. Jeepers, a long week.
Guess who's team captain?
For what?
Tomorrow. For the golf day tomorrow.
You.
I'm only up against one of the greatest cricketers of all time. Jean Callis.
Are you the non-playing captain?
You need a team talk. We know that Callis is not going to come up with a team talk.
Team captain. Yeah, who's the other team captain? Jean Callis. I was like, maybe I shouldn't have said so.
You know he's a scratch.
I know. And I don't play against him though.
And you? What's your handicap?
22 at best. Hey, last time we played golf, I beat you.
No, you didn't.
Huh?
No, you didn't.
Huh?
You didn't.
Okay, cool. Well, that's it from the Boks Office. The greatest rivalry continues again this weekend in Cape Town. Thank you to Schalk Burger, Andrew Merthens, and Jean de Villiers. It's going to be a fantastic week. If you see Justin Marshall or Andrew Merthens in Cape Town, buy them a beer, please.
Take me home. Take me
Cheers,
home.
thank you very much. The Boks Office, sorry,
Is now closed.
I didn't even know.